It's not that I haven't been reading. I've definitely been reading. I just don't enjoy editing videos very much, so I don't do it often. Hey guys, it's Mia here, and welcome back once again to a new book review. And now, I know I haven't done one of these in a while. It's not that I haven't been reading. I've definitely been reading. I just don't enjoy editing videos very much, so I don't do it often. So, with that being said, let's get into my thoughts on the host. There will be spoilers for this, so keep out for that as they come. So let's get into this with the characters. So the characters of this book are our main character Wanda and the one with her, the main character Wanderer, Wanda for short, and Melanie, and the two guys are kind of the main love interest. And this book is about kind of a alien apocalypse type deal. But I like Melanie and Wanda as characters, and the two love interest, Jared and Ian, are fine. I've actually read this book before. I read it when I was in high school, and I remember not enjoying the book very well. And I also, after I'm done recording this book review, I'm gonna go and rewatch the movie as well, because from what I remember, I didn't enjoy the book when I first read it too much, and I didn't enjoy the movie when I read it, or when I watched it too much either, so. But I enjoyed the characters in this book, but we'll talk about that a little more in my thoughts. So, as I said, this book is a alien invasion kind of end of the world story, and it's by the same one who wrote Twilight. And when I first read this, I remember thinking it was kind of boring and not being impressed by it. And it's a hefty book. It's 964 pages. And yeah, I'm still reading the book See You Yesterday, but I was out on a bike ride one day and I stopped for lunch, and while waiting for food, I wanted to read, only to realize that I had left my book at home. So I went on Libby on my phone and found the host, because I have been wanting to reread this book, because I was going to give it a second chance to see if I wanted to keep it or give it to the little library so somebody else could read it. And I actually ended up really liking it. I was reading this outside one day, and it went from nice to downpouring, so that's why it looks like a little water damaged. That's because it is, because it just started downpouring out of nowhere when I was outside reading it one day. So it got a little wet before I managed to get inside. But the host is, these aliens have come to Earth, and they claim to be a peaceful species, yet they take over the mind and body of their hosts. The hosts are the people themselves, not the aliens. The aliens are what's known as souls, and they're little centipede-like light balls that they cut open the back of the neck precisely with a scalpel, and they let the soul crawl into the human, and the soul uses its centipede-like feet and tendrils to wrap itself around the spinal cord and brain and nervous system of the host body. They go from world to world doing this to all different species until they come to Earth and start doing it to them. They look exactly the same, except for the fact that when light shines in their eyes, there's this bluish ring in the eye, no matter what color the eye is. You can see that ring if light's in them, no matter what color the eye is. And that's how the humans that are the resistance have figured out who is an alien and who's not. And despite them claiming to be a peaceful species, they don't care if the human is alive or not. they will still take over the body. And they act like the species is better off for it because these creatures are peaceful creatures. But of course, obviously, the humans aren't going to go down without a fight, so a resistance arises, which Melanie is a part of. But one day a raid goes wrong and she is found by the Seekers, or the ones that go out capturing the wild humans, because they're afraid of them, even though the souls are the one taking over the planet. So the Seekers manage to catch Melanie, and they place Wanda, or Wanderer, inside of Melanie. But because Melanie is aware that this is being done and that people are taken and having these souls implanted into them, she is able to stay alive through the process of Wanderer taking over. And at first, Wanderer can't stand this. She goes, "This is my body, you need to leave." And Melanie's like, "Excuse me, you're invading my body. This is my body. You're the one that got inserted into me. I'm not an outfit you can put on. You need to leave." And and unintentionally, because Melanie can't help it, because they still share a body, they share a consciousness, she starts to dream of her family that is resisting the invasion. She starts to dream of Jared, who she bonded with because she thought that he was one of the only people that were still human in the world, so they kind of became a couple. And her little brother Jamie, who she looks out for and protects through this invasion, because her parents had already been taken by the souls, which is how Melanie was aware of them in the first place, because her dad tried to turn her over to the Seekers after he was taken by the souls. So after a raid goes wrong, Melanie is taken over by Wanda. And because she is not able to put up a wall for Wanda not to be able to see her memories while she's sleeping, Wanda soon learns about Jared and Jamie. But Melanie, of course, doesn't want them to be found, doesn't want them anywhere near Wanda, because she's afraid that Wanda will turn Jared and Jamie over to the Seekers. But it comes to a head when the Seeker assigned to keep track of Wanda starts ticking them off, like both of them. The Seeker it annoys Wanda, which baffles Wanda because she's never felt emotions like that. She's never felt that kind of anger and that kind of annoyance and that kind of wanting to hurt somebody, because they're, again, peaceful, quote. I put that in quotes because they're literally body snatchers who are erasing the consciousness of the human whose body they take. That is not very peaceful, no matter what way you look about it. And that's also what Melanie tells Wanda. You're not a peaceful race. You're literally erasing the people whose bodies you're taking over. That's not peaceful like you think it is, which also makes Wanda think. Because through seeing Melanie's memories while Melanie can't help it because she's asleep inside Wanda, Wanda starts to fall in love with Jared and Jamie as well. And with the common enemy of this Seeker that neither one of them can stand, Wanda decides it's time to get out of here and get away from this Seeker. She's insane. She won't leave me alone. I'm gonna do my own thing. And it leads both of them to Melanie's family's hideout, specifically her Uncle Jeb's. It's like this weird amalgamation of volcanic rock that over the years lava has formed tunnels through, but the volcano is no longer active. And lucky for her family, Jeb, her uncle, has found this place clear back in the 70s and had turned it into a little survival survival bunker, and even rigged mirrors into a giant cavern to where the sun would bounce off the mirrors and it would be enough to grow plants, and when it's and then they can close it so they can't be found from above, because that'd be a big beacon letting them know where they are. And it's clear in the desert too, so obviously none of the souls want to go out there because there's nothing worth going out there for. They all think the only thing lying for them in the desert is death. But there's a pickle. Melanie, even though she's alive inside her body still, even though Wanda is in control, she's still there. But upon finding her family, they don't realize that she is truly still alive inside, because from their experience, anyone taken over by these things is gone and dead. Many people do not survive the soul taking over their body. And so, there's something that she says when she's found that makes Jeb think, I'm going to keep her alive. I can't just shoot her. She's my niece. No matter what happens, she's my niece. That's my niece's body. I'm going to keep her alive. And the tunnel, for me, when I first read it, is where it started to get boring, because you're in the same setting. Wanda's not allowed to do anything because obviously they want to keep an eye on her because they don't know what her motives are in coming here. They don't think that Melanie is even still alive, and Melanie and Wanda argue. Melanie's like, please tell them I'm still alive. Please tell them I'm still alive. And Wanda's like, you're insane. They were never going to believe me that you are still here. All that's going to do is make them want to kill me faster. So we need to earn their trust another way, because they are never going to believe you are still here and still alive through me. All they see is the rings in my eyes. They don't believe you're alive. And if I tell them that, they're liable to shoot me faster. And because their race is, again, a peaceful race, she doesn't like the gun at all that Jeb has, because that's how Jeb keeps order in his camp, is because he's the only one with a pew-pew, and he's the only one that will willingly finish the job if someone tries to hurt someone under his watch in his house, because he built this from the ground up, even hollowing out some of the tunnels to make more rooms. And so it becomes this really tense thing of, obviously, the other survivors are not happy that one of the centipedes, as they call them, is living under their roof. They don't believe that she has peaceful motives for coming there. And a lot of them want her dead because they think that a soul being under their roof is a sign that danger is coming, and that could be the end of them too, or that she could escape at any moment and send the Seekers down on them to get them all turned into one of the souls. So there are moments where it gets hard to read, because obviously the soul being there affects the other survivors, and they don't like it. They want her dead. So there are so many moments of just watching people attack Wanda and Melanie. And Wanda at first doesn't do anything. She doesn't fight back. She doesn't try to say that Melanie is there. But eventually, Jeb, the leader, kind of sends Jared out on a raid so he will back off. And because Jared and Jamie own the body, because Jamie's her little brother and Jared's her boyfriend, so they own the body and they get the right to choose whether she is shot or whether she's kept alive. So eventually, Jeb, in his infinite wisdom, sends Jared out on a raid to get more supplies, since he's the best raider because he's the most cautious. And he tells Wanda, come with me. Let's stretch your legs. You're going to help with chores. You're going to get acquainted. And Jared is gone for a few weeks, so everyone else in the compound starts to become used to her being there and being like, oh, she's harmless. She doesn't like the gun that Jeb has. She has a weapon in her hand and she never tries to raise it against us. She just works on her plants. She's the hardest worker out of all of us and she doesn't complain. She's a good person. So they start to like Wanda herself, which is a good step in the right direction, until Jared gets back with another problem in Kyle, and Kyle full on tries to execute her. And this story is so much better, and I'm glad I gave it a second chance because it's so much better than I originally thought. There is a love triangle because Jared loves Melanie and Ian loves Wanda, gets to love Wanda. But this book at points is really, really tense and hard to read because, like I said, they don't believe that Melanie is alive inside Wanda. So, and Wanda telling them that Melanie is still alive could lead to them being killed because they feel like she's just trying to lie to save her own skin. But it is true, excuse me. And that gets really hard to read because you're like, they're gonna kill their loved one and they don't even realize that she's still alive in there. And there are times when you realize that Wanda, for all her species faults, she was not the one that wanted to be put in Melanie. She was forcefully put in Melanie. She didn't have a say. And she is completely against violence other than taking over people's bodies. Another topic. So she does not ever fight back. Even sometimes begging Melanie to take the controls so that Melanie can fight back to save them. But she doesn't know how to let herself fully go so Melanie can take the controls, because through all their constant talking to each other, because they share a body, they can talk to each other and hear each other, they start to become friends because, I mean, who wouldn't? It's like having split personalities, but the personalities are actually real and you can actually talk to them. And there are times when Wanda is so desperate to fight back and Melanie is saying, you have to fight back or we're gonna die. And Wanda's like, I can't, just take the controls. Take the controls. I'm letting you take the controls. Just, I don't care. And like they kind of become like sisters in a way because they are stuck together. And there are just so many points where it gets hard to read, and I don't want to spoil some of them because they are genuinely like edge of your seat, like, oh no, like you want to scream at the other characters, no, she's telling the truth, Melanie's alive, don't do this. Like, you want to scream at the other characters and get them to realize that she is still alive, and if you go through with it, you're not going to be able to get her back. There's going to be no chance to get her back. This one is so much more fun than I thought originally, and that's why I feel like it's good to give books, movies, games, whatever, foods, like, it's good to give things a second chance years later because you grow and change as a person. Like, I didn't like this book when I first read it. I was like, that was boring. And I moved on. I kept it because back then I wasn't in the mindset of getting rid of books. Well, getting rid of, but donating books. I was like, these are my books, I'm going to keep them. I was very much a book dragon who thought that even if I didn't like a book, I should keep it. And I'm really glad that I decided to reread this book instead of just full on getting rid of it. Honestly, I didn't even read my physical copy of the book because I was out on a bike ride, like I said, and it wasn't until I stopped my bike ride to stop for lunch and I was waiting on my lunch to be made. So I was like, I'll just sit here and wait I'll be patient. I'm gonna read and wait. And I was like, oh, I forgot to see you yesterday at the house. I didn't put it in my book bag. So I was like, what does Libby have available to read? I can read on my phone, because I didn't have my Nook either. Because I thought I had put my book in my bag, but I took it out because I thought I decided I wasn't leaving, and then I left thinking the book was in my bag. So I ended up just getting this on Libby because it was available to read right then. And so I read it on my phone and on my Nook. It's very easy on Libby to switch from reading it on one device and then the other, which is really nice, because if I don't have my Nook, I can just read it on my phone, and if I don't have my phone, I can read it on my Nook. And especially if I want to read at night, it's a lot nicer to read on my phone, because my phone has a little finger holder ring type looking thing that holds onto it, so I'm not at risk to drop it on my face, and it's a lot lighter than my Nook if I were to drop it on my face despite that. So I don't know, this is a good book, and I think it's much better than Twilight. I love the Twilight movies. The Twilight books were painful to read, especially when the whole imprinting thing came in. And again, that's another thing. What the hell is with Stephenie Meyer and illegal age gaps? Like, somebody needs to check on her relationships, because even in this, I even made a note in this in Libby. I don't know if the notes stay after you have finished a book and returned it to the library. I don't know if it stays in your history in Libby, or I've never noted things down in the Libby app, so I don't know if the notes stay or not. But Jared is 26. Jared's this one. Jared is 26. Melanie in the book is 17. Edward in Twilight was 109. Bella was also 16, 17. I think she was 17. And then Jacob is 16, and Renesmee is a freaking infant. Like, what is with her and illegal age gaps? Somebody needs to check on her, because I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why the obsession with the illegal age gaps, but it's just weird, and it's weird that it happened 2 books in a row. And I heard that this was supposed to be a series, but abruptly stopped because the movies didn't do too well, and apparently the book didn't sell well either. But I feel like I am perfectly fine with this story being a standalone. I don't think it needs to go anywhere else, because it ended on a cliffhanger that was resolved. It's a cliffhanger oh yay, da 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 happens. But it's also a good way to close the story. I am fine with this being a standalone. Honestly, we need more fantasy that is strictly standalone, because sometimes you just want a good one and done. I am tired of fantasy books getting 7, 8, 9 books, and you have to wait so long to finish the story. It's like when a movie series overstays its welcome and continues past when the movies were good and just ruins itself. Troll Hunters is a good example. That movie ruined the whole show for me, because it ended up being a time loop bullcrap thing that ended up not being an ending. Those are not endings, they are beginnings to the story. But that's besides the point. I really enjoyed this book, and if you haven't read The Host in a while, I recommend picking it up and giving it a second chance, because it is good. It's good. And at points it's hard to read, which is fun. Alright, bye.